buildings. He's never apologized for that. And in fact, on 9/11, he was quoted in the New York Times saying, "I don't regret setting bombs. I feel we didn't do enough." An early organizing meeting for your state Senate campaign was held at his house, and your campaign has said you were friendly. Can you explain that relationship for the voters and explain to Democrats why it won't be a problem?
George, but this is an example of what I'm talking about. This is a guy who lives in my neighborhood, who's a professor of English in Chicago, who I know and who I have not received some official endorsement from. He's not somebody who I exchange ideas from on a regular basis. And the notion that somehow, as a consequence of me knowing somebody who engaged in detestable acts 40 years ago when I was 8 years old, somehow reflects on me and my values doesn't make much sense, George. The fact is that I'm also friendly with Tom Coburn, one of the most conservative Republicans in the United States Senate, who during his campaign once said that it might be appropriate to apply the death penalty to those who carried out abortions. Do I need to apologize for Mr. Coburn's statements? Because I certainly don't agree with those either. So this kind of game in which anybody who I know, regardless of how flimsy the relationship is somehow their ideas could be attributed to me, I think the American people are smarter than that. They're not going to suggest somehow that that is reflective of my views, because it obviously isn't.
Well, I think that is a fair general statement, but I also believe that Senator Obama served on a board with Mr. Ayers for a period of time, the Woods Foundation, which was a paid directorship position. And if I'm not mistaken, that relationship with Mr. Ayers on this board continued after 9/11 and after his reported comments, which were deeply hurtful to people in New York. And I would hope to every American, because they were published on 9/11, and he said that he was just sorry they hadn't done more. And what they did was set bombs. And in some instances, people died. So it is, you know, I think it is, again, an issue that people will be asking about, and I have no doubt. I know Senator Obama is a good man, and I respect him greatly, but I think that this is an issue that certainly the Republicans will be raising. And it goes to this larger set of concerns about, you know, how we are going to run against John McCain. You know, I wish the Republicans would apologize for the disaster of the Bush-Cheney years and not run anybody. Just say that it's time for the Democrats to go back into the White House. Unfortunately, they don't seem to be willing to do that. So we know that they're going to be out there full force. And, you know, I've been in this arena for a long time. I have a lot of baggage, and everybody has rummaged through it for years. And so, therefore, I have, you know, an opportunity to come to this campaign with a very strong conviction and feeling that I will be able to withstand whatever the Republicans send our way.
I'm going to have to respond to this just really quickly. But by Senator Clinton's own vetting standards, I don't think she would make it, since President Clinton pardoned or commuted the sentences of 2 members of the Weather Underground, which I think is a slightly more significant act than me serving on a board with somebody for actions that he did 40 years ago. Look, there is no doubt that the Republicans will attack either of us. What I've been able to display during the course of this primary is that I can take a punch. I've taken some pretty good ones from Senator Clinton. And I don't begrudge her that. That's part of what the political contest is about. I am looking forward to having a debate with John McCain, and I think every poll indicates that I am doing just as well, if not better, in pulling together the coalition that will defeat John McCain. And when it comes to November and people are going into the polling place, they're going to be asking, are we going to go through 4 more years of George Bush economic policies? Are we going to go through 4 more years of George Bush foreign policy? And if we have Democrats, and if I, as the nominee, have put forward a clear vision for how we're going to move the country forward, deal with issues like energy dependence, lower gas prices, provide health care, get our troops out of Iraq, that is a debate that I'm happy to have and a debate that I'm confident I can win.
And Senator Clinton, I'm getting out of balance in terms of time, and you're getting shortchanged here. And so if you want to reply here, fine. If you want to wait, we'll do it in the next half hour.
We can wait.
All right. We'll take a commercial break. We will come back. And the Democratic debate from the city of Philadelphia before the Pennsylvania primary will continue. Stay with us.
Live coverage from the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia continues. Here again, Charles Gibson and George Stephanopoulos.
Another quote from the Constitution, apropos, because we are here, as you heard just a moment ago, at the Constitution Center. Senator Clinton, a question for you. We talked about the military applications from the Constitution, and this is a question that involves the war in Iraq. It comes from Mandy Garber of Pittsburgh. Take a look.
So the real question is, I mean, do the candidates have a real plan to get us out of Iraq, or is it just real campaign propaganda? And, you know, it's really unclear. They keep saying we want to bring the troops back, but considering what's happening on the ground, how is that going to happen?
Let me just add a little bit to that question, because your communications director in your campaign, Howard Wolfson, on a conference call recently was asked, is Senator Clinton going to stick to her announced plan of bringing 1 or 2 brigades out of Iraq every month, whatever the realities on the ground? And Wolfson said, I'm giving you a one-word answer so we can be clear about it. The answer is yes. So if the military commanders in Iraq came to you on day 1 and said this kind of withdrawal would destabilize Iraq, it would set back all of the gains that we have made, no matter what, you're going to order those troops to come home?
Yes, I am, Charlie, and here's why. You know, thankfully, we have a system in our country of civilian control of the military. And our professional military are the best in the world. They give their best advice, and then they execute the policies of the president. I have watched this president as he has continued to change the rationale and move the goalposts when it comes to Iraq. And I am convinced that it is in America's best interests, it is in the best interests of our military, and I even believe it is in the best interests of Iraq, that upon taking office, I will ask the Secretary of Defense and the Joint Chiefs of Staff and my security advisors to immediately put together for me a plan so that I can begin to withdraw within 60 days. I will make it very clear that we will do so in a responsible and careful manner, because obviously withdrawing troops and equipment is dangerous. I will also make it clear to the Iraqis that they no longer have a blank check from the President of the United States, because I believe that it will be only through our commitment to withdrawal that the Iraqis will begin to do what they have failed to do for all of these years. I will also begin an intensive diplomatic effort, both within the region and internationally, to begin to try to get other countries to understand the stakes that we all face when it comes to the future of Iraq. But I have been convinced and very clear that I will begin to withdraw troops within 60 days. And we've had other instances in our history where some military commanders have been very publicly opposed to what a president was proposing to do. But I think it's important that this decision be made, and I intend to make it.
But Senator Clinton, aren't you saying, I mean, General Petraeus was in Washington, you both were there when he testified, saying that the gains in Iraq are fragile and are reversible. Are you essentially saying, I know better than the military commanders here?
No, what I'm saying, Charlie, is that no one can predict what will happen. There are many different scenarios. But one thing I am sure of is that our staying in Iraq, our continuing to lose our men and women in uniform, having many injured, the Iraqi casualties that we are seeing as well, there is no way for us to maintain a strong position in the world. It's not only about Iraq, it is about ending the war in Iraq so that we can begin paying attention to all of the other problems we have. There isn't any doubt that Afghanistan has been neglected. It has not gotten the resources that it needs. We hear that from our military commanders responsible for that region of the world. And there are other problems that we have faced.